everybody. Welcome to Learning the Scottish Great Highland Bagpipe with me, J.D. Ingram, pipe major of the Charleston Pipe Band. This week we're going to be learning
Lesson 32, Getting Ready to Solo Compete. Your goal is that once you've competed with the band, you should learn additional solo music and attend and possibly participate in a solo contest.
Okay, you've learned some music and you've signed up to do a solo contest. What do you need to do? That morning, make sure you have your appropriate Highland wear. Most contests do require it. About an hour ahead of playing time, make sure your pipes are together and you have started warming up. This is key to make sure you have enough time to fix any issues that may crop up, because issues will crop up sometime. Check in with the stewards well ahead of time for the contest. Most Highland games, there are a lot of moving pieces, and sometimes you will have multiple stewards that you have to check in with. So making sure that they know where you are and will not pass you by if they are running early or running late is important. When it's your turn to play, approach the judge, introduce yourself, let them know which tune you're going to play. Typically, they will say something like, "Whenever you're ready," or "Give me a minute," or something like that. And then when you are ready to begin playing, go ahead and blow up your pipes.
All right, so it's time to do your solo contest and some tips and tricks for preparation. I start 1 week in advance. Every night for the week before my solo contest, I will kind of run through my solo contest pattern. I'll blow up my pipes, play through a couple of my sets, make sure that I'm familiar with how my pipes are going to settle in, and get, how long it takes them to get warmed up, and tuning, and make sure hemp and water trap and everything is good to go. The night before, make sure you get a good night's rest. Tired brain is not going to perform as well as a well-rested brain. It can be tempting to stay up late practicing, but unless your brain just really functions well on 2 hours of sleep, you're going to do better for yourself to be well rested than you will to practice that extra bit, in my opinion. Morning of, make sure you have a good breakfast, something that's not too heavy, not too sugary. You don't want to be jittery or anything like that. Caffeinate if you need to, but don't over caffeinate. Advice that was given to me is something like a banana is a good kind of steady slow burner as far as fueling your brain. Something that's super sugary can make you jittery and not perform quite as well. Then get dressed in your appropriate Highland attire. Make sure you arrive at least an hour before you go on and check in, and then about an hour before playtime you're going to want to start blowing up your pipes. And at that point, I'm playing for maybe 5 minutes. I'll kind of get warmed up, do like a slow air like Amazing Grace or an easy march like Scotland the Brave, and then I will kind of on for 5, off for 5 or 10, and repeat that a couple times and get used to how my pipes are going, because I've been practicing this all week and I know the pattern that it takes to get my pipes settled in. Check in with your steward, make sure you're ready to go. About 15 minutes out, I change that pattern up to about on for 2, off for 2, give or take, maybe on for 1, off for 1. And at this point, I start practicing just like the intro to the tune I'm about to play. So that gives me good kind of, I'm focusing, starting strong, and then hopefully I've been practicing well leading up to this, and so I know once I get the first phrase down, that muscle memory kicks in and I can kind of just blow through the tune without having to think so much about each individual note. When it's go time, as I said before, introduce yourself, introduce your tune, and then when you blow up your pipes, you don't have to start playing right away. Usually I will play something nice and steady, listen to my pipes, double check the tuning, I'll listen to each drone individually and then get them all together, and once I'm satisfied, then I will actually start playing the tune. And I usually try to begin just a little bit under my target tempo and settle in to my target tempo after about a phrase. And that's something that solo performers will do, is start just, if I was going to do Scotland the Brave, I would go hum bum ba dee dum ba dum bee dee 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 dum bee dum bo, right? So you can hear me, I kind of picked up the tempo over the course of about 8 notes or so. While you're playing, some focus tips for you. Don't look at stuff. I have had contests where I was playing and it's at a Scottish festival where there's other events going on. There's like a sheep herding contest and an athletic contest and a dance contest, and like a border collie ran right in front of me chasing some ducks. And if I was paying attention to that, it's very easy for you to just have a total brain fart and forget where you are in the tune, and that's not good. So I'm typically looking off into space or at a point on the ground in front of me to make sure I don't trip on stuff. But don't look at, if you make a mistake and then you see the judge start, oh, well, he made a mistake right here, and he's writing, and then you're looking at him writing, and you're thinking, oh God, he's writing about the mistake I just made. You're probably going to make another mistake. Don't look at that. Don't look at the judge. Look at the ground. Look at the sky. If you're playing a tune that you don't need to march around for dance tunes or something like that, sometimes I'll just put on sunglasses and close my eyes, because that can help just block out all other distractions. Another tip for if you're playing a tune that you do need to march for, I will practice, of course, the whole week leading up, how many steps it takes me to get through a part, and I will practice, like if I'm playing the one line of the tune, I will be on the march. Next line of the tune, I will be turning. Next line of the tune, I will be on the march, marching back and forth. And so I know if I'm turning, I'm on, lines 2, 4, 6, 8. If I'm marching, I'm on lines 1, 3, 5, 7. And when I get to the end, if it's a 8-line tune, I know I should be, doing my final turn, or whatever it is. But practicing, associating where you are in the music with some sort of physical motion back and forth can really help you kind of keep track of your progress to the tune. So that's a good tip to follow. Anyways, that's the best advice I have for you to get ready. Take that to heart. Practice it every night leading up to your contest, and hopefully when it is finally go time, it'll be just super easy to repeat exactly what you've been practicing and play well, and the judges will love you for it, give you some positive feedback and lots of prizes, and it'll be awesome. So next, we're gonna actually walk through it together. So here we go.
So now you've blown up your pipes and are about to play your first competition in grade 5. While you're blowing your pipes up, take time. You don't have to do a band strike in 12 counts and then begin the tune. Blow up, listen to your drones, maybe play a little warm up, play the scale, play Amazing Grace, unless of course that's your contest tune. Something that you're really comfortable with, and make sure you're settled and you're happy with how your bag sounds. This is also your last opportunity to make sure you have at least one tenor and your bass drone going, because that is the minimum requirement for your drones. Then play your tune. For a march contest, you have to play a simple time march. So that's 2 parts of 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4 march, just like any of the tunes that we have learned in this series. You have the option to march back and forth, but it is not required. However, I would definitely recommend at least marking time or tapping your foot to give yourself a steady reference point for the tempo, because nerves will cause you to speed up. If you're playing a pibroch ground contest, you play just the ground, just the theme of the pibroch, and you have the option to move around again, but you do not have to. You can always just stand still and play.
All right, who do we have competing today?
Hi, I'm JD Ingram.
And what is your tune?
My tune today will be Scotland the Brave.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Thanks.
Fine job.
If you're playing your first contest in grade 4, the same advice applies as in grade 5. Take some time to blow your pipes up, play a little warm-up tune to settle your nerves, and check your tuning one final time. This is a good opportunity to take any adjustments to your drones. It is highly recommended you at least tap off 2 drones and listen to make sure they're in tune with your chanter, 1 at a time, then 2 at a time, and then all 3. Because tuning is a big part of your score, and hopefully if you're playing in grade 4, you have at least some ability to get your pipes in pretty good tune. Then you play your tune. For a 2/4 march contest, you have to play at least 4 parts of a 2/4 march. You must march back and forth in the designated area, so practice that. For the pibroch contest, play the whole tune. Some contests have an option to play just the ground, but that is less common these days in my experience. You have the option to move around in the designated area, but there's not really a fixed rule about this. I would recommend watching upper grade players playing their pibrochs to kind of see what the common pibroch wander is, because most players will walk back and forth. I like to walk back and forth very slowly so that each part of the pibroch takes about 1 meander across the designated area, and I can keep track of how many parts I have played that way. If you're playing a 6/8 march, the rules are just like in 2/4 march, other than the fact that you're playing a 6/8 compound time march rather than a 2/4 simple time march. If you're playing a slow march, the rules are 2 parts of slow march. You must mark time or tap your foot. You have the option to do the slow march back and forth, but that is not necessary. If you are playing a strathspey and reel, you must play 2 parts of strathspey and 2 parts of reel. You can do the break in your own timing. If you are playing with a grade 4 band that plays a march, strathspey, and reel, they will have a very strict time break from the strathspey to the reel. But as a soloist, you can kind of play it a little more like jazz. Just do it in your own time. You should tap your foot, however, with both tunes.
All right, that's it. That's the whole series. Thank you guys for following along. Of course, if that had been a real contest, the judge might have offered me some feedback on the spot, or he might have offered me just feedback in written comments on the sheet. And I would thank him for it. Listening back to it myself, I think my Torlois probably could have been a little better. Tempo might have been a little bit better, and a couple other things that the judge would have let me know. And of course I would be gracious about it, because that's what I was paying for, was the feedback, not so much the contest or the challenge. That is a benefit, but one of the main purposes of solo contests are to make yourself better by getting critical feedback from really well respected players. And thank you guys. If you have any feedback for me, by all means, put it in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me directly. And if you've got questions or clarification, I'm always open to making myself better. That's why we're on the journey. And thank you for taking this part of the journey with me. And hopefully I will see you out there on the field competing, or at a event performing and playing bagpipes with really well executed finger work, good tone, and of course good presentation skills. And as always, let's get cracking.
Thanks for watching this final episode of this series. Some final thoughts for you. Playing for critical audiences really is a great way to improve. Now that you've got to a competent level and you can play for somebody and potentially impress somebody, go play for people who have a real ear for bagpipes and Scottish music. If you can impress them, you know you've done well. Solo contests are a great way to do this, because you've got personalized feedback from some of the best bagpipers in the area. If you're at a solo contest and a judge takes time to discuss your performance with you, listen closely. And always thank the judge for their time and their feedback. I also highly recommend solo contests because the better you get, the more you win prizes, and winning prizes can be a lot of fun. As always, folks, take care and get cracking.